Good afternoon.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good.
Looking beautiful as always.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So thank you so much for agreeing to chat with me today. I really appreciate it. I promise not to take up very much of your time. But we're going to kind of go through a few things. So I'm going to ask you to start by sharing your name and telling us a little bit about you, anything that you feel comfortable sharing.
Okay. Um, my name is Shana Williams. I am a 40-year-old now single mother, recently divorced for the past, oh gosh, probably 2 years. I work in healthcare as a nurse practitioner and have two wonderful boys, Shane as 21 and Christopher that's 7. Affectionately goes by CJ. And have such a wonderful support system with my mom, my dad, and my sister.
Is Durham home? Is this home for you, Durham?
Actually, no, I am from Charleston, South Carolina.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so I know all about this particular subject. And basically came to Durham when I got married.
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up here.
So you and I have that in common. I was raised in Walterboro, South Carolina. Charleston was just down the road, and when we were going to find food, we go to the ocean to get something to eat. And when I was little, they still had the slave stock still there. You know, you could go where they actually bring the slaves and put them in, spread their legs apart naked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's not talk about that. That's just too hard right there. So how did what you said you are a nurse practitioner now? Was that your intent for your career? Is that what you want to do for your career? What does it mean to be a nurse practitioner?
Oh my goodness. So I started out at a historically Black college, Morris College, and had planned to go to USC for nursing. Always wanted to be a nurse. No desire to really be a doctor, but I wanted to find something that was similar to a doctor without all of the kind of, I guess, quirks and burnout that came with it. Ended up having a job fair at Morris College where we had a career fair, and the Medical University of South Carolina was there. And I always like a particular challenge. And ironically, I had all the qualifications to get into their program. And what was quite interesting is that they came to my school, they recruited, but it was only 5 of us in the program out of 50.
Wow.
And then I also continued my master's program. So you have to have a master's degree to be a nurse practitioner. Continued the master's program at MUSC as well. And was one of 2 in my class. And then I just recently, August 7th, finished my doctorate of nursing practice. So it's a doctorate for nurse practitioners. Finished my doctorate of nursing practice with MUSC again. I kind of been torturing them a little bit. And I say that because I started this journey going, as a Black female, like, where do I want to be? What do I want to do? How do I want to make my impact? And so a lot of my impact has been just being me and just all of my accomplishments and inspiring others to kind of keep pushing, keep moving, no matter the obstacles, no matter the struggle. And didn't really realize my whole journey until I met a group of women that actually were not afforded the opportunity to go to MUSC, and they were a part of the 1969 nurses strike. And it was African-American women that had been working as nurses, weren't allowed to go to MUSC, but had been working at the hospital at the time. And they striked because they wanted more pay. They wanted equal pay. And they, and only one of them stayed behind. But what I did not realize is that I go to one of the historical churches down in Charleston. It's called Old Bethel. not too far from the other church. And we had a program, and I did not realize that I was standing in and participating in a journey that these women had been working so hard for. So what was ironic is, as we speak about diversity, I didn't see myself as diverse and what my purpose was in this, in continuing my journey, until I went to this program and I was the last person to speak. And in being the last person to speak, I realized that I was what they were working so hard for. They couldn't go to the school, but I was graduating from the same school that they could not go to for the third time.
And you recognize that we are standing on the shoulders of those who paid the price for us to be who we are today.
And it didn't officially hit me until I was standing up there and I was looking at those ladies and I said, I am the product of what you fought so hard for.
Right.
And, you know, one lady said to me, she said, you know something? She goes, I always doubted myself in walking out that day and striking and in the decision that I made and how it affected my career. She said, but you have given me the best thing in my life that I could have ever had, which is confirmation that it was all worth it. And that's what I aspire to do with diversity. It's not so much for me about, and it's not gonna, I don't mean it this way. How do I say it? It's about continuing the journey and assisting folks in understanding what my purpose is, assisting our girls in understanding what your purpose is. It doesn't matter if they don't look like you. You deserve to be there. You deserve a space. You deserve a place. But it's so hard. It's so hard to be in that predicament time and time again, even as my career has developed. I find myself going, you know, do I really want to keep pushing, or do I just want to just stop? This is a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of being the only person. And I'm tired of having to say things and say it a certain way.
And is that still the case in your work?
Not so much in a newer job that I had in a previous company I was with. That was the case, because there were times where I was labeled as aggressive, versus assertive. I was labeled as overconfident. I was not allowed to do some of the same things as my colleagues. Like, if I was not in place by 7 a.m., it was a problem. Although I had a colleague who had to be there at 9 a.m. and she would arrive at 10:30, 10:35, 11 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing that was done. I would have to pick up the pieces until she got there.
Wow.
And my opinion didn't matter. My thoughts didn't matter. My intelligence didn't matter. And they would say, no, that's not necessarily true. You do have autonomy. But every time I would ask for more responsibility, I got to run around.
Right.
And that was even with the director, who did try to give me more autonomy, more responsibility.
I'm sorry to hear that, but it's not new, right? We know this. This has been going on for a long time. Not new.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So now that you are what you are, is that when you finish your nurse doctoral program, will you then be can be in charge of all of nursing for a hospital, or I mean, what
nobody can tell me no.
Go get that money, girl.
Nobody can tell me no.
Amen. Amen. So, as you have struggled, as most of us have, to be a Black woman and be accepted and be matter, how have you transposed those lessons to your children? What do you tell your children so that they find themselves in spaces where they can overcome, if you will?
Oh, geez. It's been a lot of understand your purpose, understand your reasoning for what you're doing. If you enjoy what you do, if you enjoy who you are, if this is something that interests you, don't let anybody take it from you. Don't give them a reason. I know my father always says, nothing good comes easy.
Nothing.
And it's reminding them of that same thing.
Right.
But also knowing that I got to this point, I want you to have more than I did.
Well, your
And I want
curiosity will give them that, right?
mm-hmm.
Yep. But I mean, preparing them for a world where, well, so the first time my daughter was called the N-word, she was 11. And of course I wasn't.
We've already had that discussion.
Right. And so
and mine is 7.
And when she told me that, I was not prepared for it. I didn't even know what to say, you know, because I've been called that word where, you know, growing up in Charleston, South Carolina, you know that word well, you know, grown men called boy, you know, I always say, you know, maybe one day I'll go back to South Carolina, but it
can't.
Huh?
I can't.
It was such a joy to me. I've been back maybe 3 times since 1976. 3 times.
That sounds about right.
You know, and every time I go, I find myself almost, because Walterboro, I don't know about Charles, Walterboro was not a sundowner town. But if you were blacking out after a certain time, and you could turn up missing. You know, anything could happen to you. Mm-hmm. And when we get to where we are now, you know, having conversations with millennials and whatever else they all are, Gen X and Gen Z and all them other letters and alphabet, they don't understand, you know. So, you know, the use of the N-word, and if you know me, most people know me, my favorite rapper is Jay-Z. I love Jay-Z. I have Jay-Z clothes, I have Jay-Z face masks, I have Jay-Z everything. And he uses the N-word freely. You know, so I have to say another word when he's saying that word. I can't say that word when he's singing that song, saying that word. For these younger people, playing gamers, I've been in the room with my son, and a white person said the N-word to him. Like, how could you miss that shot, N? It didn't bother him a bit. He called him back that, you know. And I'm like, this is a hurtful word. No, it's not, Mom. This word is lost its power. I wish I knew that were true, but I don't think so.
No, and they, and I think if for them, like I know my 21-year-old was saying, Mom, it's in such a different context for us. But what is interesting is that if someone of another race says it, it's the same connotation. They have the same emotion behind it.
Yeah.
And I've had to talk to my 21 and 7-year-old about that word and about where it takes you emotionally and what you do with those emotions.
Exactly.
Which I think is something terrible that I've had to do. But I've even had to talk to my son about, he's in the Navy and he runs. And he runs, he can run anywhere from 6 to 10 miles a day. And I have had, and at one time he was actually stationed at the weapons station in Goose Creek.
Oh, Goose Creek.
And I had to remind him, you cannot run in a hoodie. He goes, Mom, you're freaking out. No, you can't. I don't care if it says Navy, boo, bye, whatever on it. I need you to run in something else.
Wow. You know, and that's why I say, you know, maybe one day I'll go back to South Carolina, but I'm in no hurry. Goose Creek.
It's very hard.
Yep. Yep. But
it's even hard when I go there to visit.
Yep. But even more so, South Carolina is not unique either. I mean, North Carolina is a little less prejudiced, but go to the right part of North Carolina, you find the same thing you find in rural South Carolina, you know. So, and this is not necessarily rural or something, you know, like some of these high-end beach communities, you know, things like that, you know, where we are seen as something. I don't know what, but we are seen as something. So, did you watch the video of Mr. Floyd?
Yeah, I did.
What was your reaction?
Oh. Okay. It was very, very emotional, and I actually knew the Scott. My family knows the Scott family.
Okay.
And so it is not something that I can always get into or watch, because it's one of those things where it just takes me to the wrong place. And it takes me to a place with my two boys that I can't bear, or even much less think about right now.
Right. Because you know that could be them. And I know the same thing for my children. I think the same thing. You know,
my son's in San Diego. My oldest is in San Diego. You see my wallet? Mine's in San Diego. I have one in San Diego, one with me.
My two children, you know, my two children are constantly telling me I worry too much. I said, Mr. Floyd's family did not think that when he went out that morning, he was not coming home that evening. So I think my last question is this. So where are you going from here? So what is your next job? Where's the next thing you're going to do? What is your next step?
So right now I am in an administrative position at a crisis facility. And my thought is actually to be still go for my being a director at a local hospital. It's going to be an interesting feat, because I want to see if they say no to me, because some of the same things that the current director has, I now have, if not more. Yeah. And I want to see what they're going to do. It's going to be very interesting. And I've actually been having some very interesting conversations, which led to me leaving the one company and transitioning to my current one, because I was actually told that if you do not have everything as a Black female, they will not look at you for the job.
Wow. And how did you respond to that? Did you say something in response to that?
I said, that's not surprising. They looked at me and I said, what you guys don't realize is I grew up in a place where I always had to fight for my place.
Right.
Even living in Charleston and even being in healthcare, it didn't matter if I had the right degrees for the job. I was constantly overlooked.
Right.
I was constantly overlooked. I was constantly interviewed.
Right.
Knowing that I was overqualified for the job.
Right.
Oh, well, no, we're not the person that you're looking for. Right. And having to not pull the race card, even though I wanted to.
Right.
Because I knew that that's what they were looking for me to do next. And even, knowing too that I have a relative that has been blackballed from a local South Carolina hospital system, because she fought for her rights and because she used the race card, and she's still fighting, not necessarily to get her job back, but to prove a point. Right. And she's being overlooked for a lot of things because of that blackball.
Right.
And almost walked away from her dream, her vision. So, I mean, I'm fighting for her. I'm fighting for the 1969 nurses. Right. It's almost as if I feel like I have all of them behind me, pushing me forward and moving me forward. And in spite of whatever challenges I have personally, I can't stop. I don't know what it is. I can't let it go.
And you shouldn't. You should not let it go. You should hold on and continue to fight for it, because it matters, right?
Yeah.
And who's coming behind you?
Oh gosh, I have so many girls. I also used to teach at a new university in North Carolina, and they had, and I found it to be so ironic. I was teaching there. I was one of three. Each one of us, only one of the girls had her doctorate at the time. I was working on mine. The other one was just a nurse practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 5 girls that we had to get through the first cohort. Wait a minute. We had, and those 5 girls resonated with us, and those 5 girls really just, we pushed them through.
Right.
And sad to say, they graduated, and two out of the 5 didn't pass the nursing boards the first time. They had no resources for them. They didn't contact them. They didn't get back in touch with them. And they basically told them, well, I mean, you didn't pass the first time. You know, we didn't really think that you were ever going to graduate. So, and I've been taking nursing students under my wing. I've been precepting, and I hate to say, I've been precepting mostly minority nursing students just so that I could push them to the nursing boards to get through that, to pass.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely phenomenal.
And those girls, I mean, and it was so funny to me is that the same nursing instructor that told them that they wouldn't pass used my stuff that I had used from a previous school and tried to implement it, and it didn't work. But I got these 2 girls to pass. Well, and I've been thinking about, like, you know, really marketing it and making it my own business. And especially now that I'm out of doctorate school, because that was a journey in itself.
Yes, it is. So, I know this experience. Mine was a monster too.
And just really being able to show them that you can do this in spite of what anybody else thinks, right. In spite of what anybody else is doing, in spite of what they think of you or where you come from. Right. Like they told one of the girls, you work too much.
I was told the same thing.
That's all she has.
Right.
She doesn't have much. She has to work. I said, honey bun, we need to figure out how you can work and get through this program.
Absolutely. I was told I worked too much. I made the other people in my office look bad. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's ridiculous. So we have about 5 minutes. I'm going to leave the remainder of the time to you. Anything you wish to say, please share with us.
I really wish that we can continue to work on diversity, have it heard, have people hear where we're coming from. Not so much what we're saying, but where we're coming from. Understand it and not lessen it.
Right.
Because each one of us has had a journey, and it's a shame that we continue to all have the same pathway. Mm-hmm. All of us have the same pathway. Right.
Yes. And you're angry, and you're violent, you're passive aggressive, you know, every name that you can be called, you know, and HR is not going to do anything about it when these things are said.
Right. And then, but my colleague can foot the table.
Yeah.
And, oh, well, you know, she's just having such a rough time. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a pattern that just keeps repeating itself, and I would really like to break the cycle. Like, well, enough is enough.
That's what I hope these chats will do. I think that people chat, subscribe, and maybe this will get to a point where there are a lot of people that lost them now, but a lot of other people will see them and hear the story over and over and over again. It's a different person telling the same story over and over and over again, you know, whereas when white people tell the story, they don't have any trauma. You know, they don't have any, fear of rolling up on the police officer or any of that kind of stuff. So,
or Shana, you know, in the middle of your doctoral program, you changed jobs. Well, I had no choice. I was getting a divorce. I was emotionally abused. He doesn't help me. So, what would you have liked for me to do? Are you gonna pay my bills?
Right.
Did you know I was working 3 jobs, 7 days a week? And doing your program? Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Oh no, we had no idea.
Mm-hmm. Keep doing the work, Shana. It's worth it. Please keep doing the work. It's
Yes,
worth it.
ma'am. Please keep in touch with me. I would love to connect with you more often. You're a
Absolutely.
breath of fresh air.
Absolutely. And I will send you my personal phone number and email. You have my email address, but I will send you all of that stuff. And, you know, stay in touch. And, you know, if you want to chat more, or if I can help you, if there's something I can do, please let me know.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so very much for the work that you do.
No worries. I'm doing it for all of us because, you know, we have to stick together somehow or another to get this done. And I have no idea how we do it, but I'm doing the best I can.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So stay in touch, please. And I will send you my personal information.
Okay.
Thank you. Take care
Thank you.
and stay
You too.
safe. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I hope your nails turn out pretty.
Me too. Bye.